wethu kuyawukhombisa ke imiphumela leminyende etinhlangothini letahlukahlukene ngiyathi labanye ukuthi bacabanga kakhulu infrastructure abacabanga ke live lesesigabeni semavela athuthukile, but even that is a result of our mental transformation or mental shift. Naletinye ke tinto kuyoba ke indlela lesiphatha ngayo imihambo yethu iyaqhubeka ikhombisa lokuthi asiyilahli yayitolo ikakhulukade lena lebekhombisa ukuthi sibantu labanebundvu. I believe that kuya ke Embili silive is critically aligned towards bundvu bethu singebantu labamnyama. If we are going to hold on to that thing etinengitinfo lesingadenda amaswati lamahle, in particular regarding what we are doing in this second week, the third week and the fourth week kule campaign lesithi kuyo ungambulali ungadibulali thola ke lusito bushonephi ubuntu eMaswatini. Ngithuke kakhulu ngalesihlanu mangilaleleke umsakazo wemoya lobeka funza indzaba athula ke indzaba ukuthi kunagogo lona iminyaka lengemashumi ke lasikhombisa nesiphohlongo 78 lohlahlelwe ke ngelizembe enhloko. Uhlahlelwa ke lijaha lebekathi ke alithembile aphila nalo noma kumbe leli sihlobo sakhe lingumshana noma kumbe liyinde lojalelo ngelizembe enhloko. Sikhule thina sivile ukuthi inkosi sobhuza iyakuvala lokuthi abantu batawuhamba bayawuphengula bafike baphengule indvo lengemanga. Siyadla bekunene noma labantu abadzala ukuthi babitwa ngebemanga kodwa liciniso lithi inkosi sobhuza bese ngekho mayikusho lokuthi abantu asebayekele lokuthi bahambe baye emhlahlweni bafike kubeve ukuthi manje ngibani ogilele tigaleti ngalo ukuthi esikhathini lesinyende bokhanza ukuthi kunengi lokonakalako. Sikubonile ke nakule viki leliphelile noma ngalelo sihlanu njengoba ke lonawe kunene uthi temakabuyalela kabuya khona wakhanza ukuthi lokhu lekatshelwa kona sekuyamengama wathatha ke lizembe waconza lena wabulala lo mdzala. Sikhuluma ke ngaphasi kwesihloko amaswati lamahle lesithi ungambulali thola ke lusito. Kube lela jali ithethe lendzaba layo ifaka emphakathini lithethe leyandzaba layo ifaka endlunkulu. Ngabe lo muntu omdzala uyaphila namuhla nanalo ngabe alikho etandleni tebemthetho namuhla indzaba ngabe ke soloke iyakhulunywa kugcina ke kutholakele ke isitoti sombululo. Sinemandla lesihloko lesithi ungambulali thola lusito. Lusito lukhona amaswati lamahle njengoba ke sikhuluma isathi indzaba tama structures even at community level belelihle live lakithi ngalokuthi li provide lawo ma structures at community level imiphakathi bobandla ncane tikhunga nalokwa nalokwa bantu batikhulumisa letindzaba nasekhaya tikhulunyiswa letindzaba amaswati lamahle kucolelwane kubhobokelwane lo nyathelo lomunye acolise tindzaba tikhona ke ukuthi tikhulumiseke kahle. Sikhulumisile indzaba ivikini leliphelile amaswati lamahle ngaphasi kwaso lesihloko lesithi ungambulali thola ke lusito ngomkhankaso lona ke ucalwe ke ngamaphoyisa embobe yosive. Ngekubuka ke inombolo tebantu lababulawako kule live tebantu abatibulalako kule live labanye masothe abakhulumisa uyabona lo sibebalidinga ke lusito. Siwavetile ke ma statistics last week ukuthi as at the end of August 2020 bebakathe bangamashumi ngelayimfica nababili 92 bantu ababulewe kule live. Ngethemba ukuthi setikhulile ke lenombolo njengoba ke sibika lokunye ke nanamuhla sibonile nasevikini leliphelile kuvele lokunye bamcoba inhloko bamcoba tandla bamcoba tinyawo bathatha lokho abayokungcoba bale buphi lobuntu lengicale ngabo maswati lamahle boshonephi as a country destined towards a first world status or living. Uyabona lokuthi mangabe sitawo yaside lenhlitiyo yekukholwa yeluthando yekubeketelelana yecolana angeke sifike ke sigabeni semavela athuthukile. Sikhulumisa ke isigaba sesibili nalamuhla part 2 wayokele inkulumo lethi ungambulali thola ke lusito. We just want to find out from people who also deal with women on the ground in terms of vulnerability empowerment projects and economic emancipation. Kwenziwa ini kwelekelela bomake mangabe sibuka leti nombolo netigigaba lesibona imihla ngemihla of both young and old women that are being brutally murdered in the kingdom of Eswatini. Ngicela ke benkosi lenhlelo omuhla laba ka World Vision banema programs ekuvakashela ke tifundza kutama nje kukhulumisa tona ke tindzaba tala bukela abaphatheke kabi noma kumbe labahlukubetekile, and also there are programs that help them to deal with issues of economic challenges that they may be facing. Kanti ke ngiphinza naye ke Vimbayi Kapurura longo executive director wa inhlangano yathiwa ukuthi Women Unlimited lesita kakhulu ke ukukhulumisa labo labahlukubetekile nakuya ke kuma communities noma kembe emimangweni bayotama ukukhulumisana nesive ngenza bayokushintsha ukuthi iphatha nekwenda ke tindvo. Ngicela ngabe zanele ngesekudla sami ngikubingelele kuphela thuba lekuvusela sive namhla thatha wethu.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Pires angisivusele sive seMaswati. Sibonga lethuba ukuthi sithe sitokhulumisana tona letindzaba bese tibe silonza kakhulu kuyo imimango lesisebenta kuyo.
Sibonga kakhulu Zanele. Angikubingelele Vimbai. A very good evening and welcome to Embili Kanye Kanye, an opportunity to greet our viewers here this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Perez, and a very good evening to our viewers. Thank you.
Thank you, Vimbai. In my preamble, Zanele, I made mention of the fact that towards attaining a status of first world country, one of the things we need to carry or to uphold as a nation is the element of Ubuntu, which seems to be lacking now. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. Is this still available in the country? Where have we lost it? Thina nje sikhule Zanele sathi ukuthi eMaswati kuthiwa alunga kude live lebelathiwa ukuthi eMaswati kodwa namuhla mangabe kutawungena lizembe enhloko yemlomdzala kunebantu labatahamba bayobulala lomunye singeMaswati akusikuthi kunawe khamba, you know. Where has this element of Ubuntu gone to, Zanele?
Ngitawuthi debate inyandi letinfo sive seMaswati lesitholakala ukuthi ngekuhamba hamba tiyahlangana. Ngibekise nje ukuthi indzaba lenkulu evende eMaswati kube ngiyo indzaba yekuswela. Lesithole if our statistics ithi over 60% weMaswati kude indlela kayendako ahleli emakhaya. I-unemployment rate isetulu kakhulu. Sinebantwana labathi mabaceda isikolo kude laba kwendako. Sinebantwana labangasicedi nalesikolo kude laba kwendako. Bese siyabuya kuphinze kwaba nemkhuhlane lomkhulu. A number of people were retrenched. Bahleti emakhaya. Kude ke info lebhlungu ukuthi uhleti ungibabe uhleti ungimake umntwana onke malanga ekseni yemake sesilambile kugcina kuhluthukile kungako na ufunza amaphepheni noma silalele tindzaba ukhanza ukuthi ube sucoba labantwana noma nika abantwana liphilisi lo make nayi wadinika liphilisi ngoba sekunengi labakufuna kuye kanzi ude lo muntu letinvo la kangadiniketa labo bantu abakhe nethi ke nangibabe ekhaya uye uvungaza uthi nakacela make uphela ukuthi ude nawe kuyakuhlisela sifunde ucala udlale ube nelaka tigcine tibuye etebhakeleni sewungakhanza ukuthi ulinyalelwa ngumuntu solo uzama lokho ukuthi ungajengisi lokho ukuthi ngide na ude kungako kuleti inhlelo tethu sibuka lokho ukuthi ungimake ungumntwana ungibabe akube khona lokwendako ukuze ukuthi ekhaya kube khona lokungenako ngoba kuswela angeke ngicambe manga kuyalivusa laka nawe sewendela ukuthi bangaphela ukubuya lo muntu angaphela ukubuya lo muntu
nalo lokucela ukuyambeka engodini ukuthi kumbe angagcina ngalelinye ilanga athi khanza acele
kumuntu lo wrong.
Of course, yeah. I think I just want to try and reinforce the element or the spirit of Ubuntu, which is not only a Swazi thing, Vimbai. Ubuntu is an African phenomenon of a way of living, you know. Do unto me what you would want done unto others. Yes. Where has this thing gone wrong, Vimbai?
You know, the context of our lives right now is so individualistic to an extent that when a situation is happening next door, I don't have anything to do with it.
It's none of my business.
Because it's none of my business, because I'm not affected at all. The truth of the matter is that we do not know what we are planting by so doing. We are actually continuing to raise a generation that says it's okay to be abused. It's okay to be killed. It's okay to die in the hands of your of a perpetrator. So I think there is something that we need to do and to shift our mindsets to a point whereby we say, what is affecting my neighbor is also affecting me.
What is happening to my neighbor can happen to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think what we need to do as a society is to actually plant love and respect within our lives and start teaching that to our young children so that when they grow, they do not depart from the love and respect that they've been taught.
Yeah. Ngike ngasho Zanele la ukuthi siqale evekini eliphelele sikhulumisa lenzaba lethi ungambulali thola lusito ngihlethi nani lana namuhla as stakeholders. I have Vimbai from Women Unlimited and yourself from World Vision. Nikhona kakhulu kuma communities kubuka tindzaba leti tsenza kuhlupheka kwesive ngatinhlangothi letahlukahlukene kunitsenza kangakanani ni organization, and what do you have to say to the nation and stakeholders regarding kubulawa kwabomake kulesikhathi lesibonako kude lilanga noma kumbe liviki lapho khona singaboni ibrutality elethinzana nebulawa komuntu wesifazane kulamalanga?
Angibonge kakhulu. Angithi nje kude info lebhlungu ukuthi likhaya kungimake kungibabe kubantwana. Tholakala ukuthi lokuhluphetana la khaya kunengi kakhulu. Lo mntwana nakakhulu umfana emfana. Ukhula wati kuthi kumele nami ngimshaye umfati wami. Nalo mntwana lo ntombatana nakakhula atibona letinto. Lengqondo yakhe ithi umfati uhle umthusa. Kana wathi ukuthi ngalenyela ngoba uyamthusa kakhudlwana abese soyakufela. So kungako
Ngibani lo ukuthi umfati uyathusa Zanele?
Sikhule basho njalo asathi lokuthi bebathi umthusa kanjani. So lento ukhanda ukuthi incumbi ema families
ngalamafishana uthi kuchamuka emuva lokuthi umfati uyashaya.
Bebaye bathi bayamthusa.
Bebathi bayamthusa. Kungilomkhohlane lo sokugcina namuhla wena bomake basilimalela.
So lento bese lo mfana nakakhula lengqondo yalomfana wathi ukuthi umuntu lomsikade kumele ukuthi uhle nje umthi wami. Lento ikhula aphume nayo lo mfana lesinye isikhathi kungako sesifise lokho ukuthi kube nakuthiwa kuyaliwa kumbe emindenini asithole ndolisito njengoba nje amaphoyisa evikini leliphelile akachaza nje sisebenza nawo kakhulu ukuthi nase siva ukuthi lokuhishana kwethu loku sekusisa khashana asihambe phela sithole lolisito asihambe nakuboswakhe sithole lolisito uze ukuthi tingafiki emandleni ngoba kwaze kwafika emandleni kukhona lo dela amandla alo lomunye lotwabe sesoyalimala so labanye abantwana sikhula nje makwakhe ufe embi kwakhe abulawa ngibaba wakhe umfana intombatana lo mntwana ukhula nalesilevu nalobhlungu lo mntwana ukhula naloko ukuthi umuntu wamenda sihlungu lesikangaka so khanza ukuthi naye nase kakhulile info lencane wathi ukuthi kumele ngisheshe ngibiye lathi toconza tinto so khanza ukuthi incumbi yesive sesinale ngqondo yokuthi uze ukuthi intindvo dilunge asende kanje naloko ukuthi ke kunengale sikubukelako bo TV sinelihlelo nje thine la Christian commitment lokho ukuthi asinake ukuthi umntwana wethu kumabona kuze ngitiphi letinhlelo la kade bukako lo munye utawubona ukuthi hawu banele ngakumthinza lo makwabuye emgceni angaboni lokho ukuthi lento kusilonza nalo make sekukhula kangakwenta babe ngalenye langa ukhanze ukuthi soyamlimalela so siyesifise lokho ukuthi indzaba yedlame ikhona ngeke seyiphike yini engikakhulu lokuvela emaphepheni kuncane kakhulu kunakuloku lokwendekalako ngoba ngidawuhlala mina eJohn ngoba uyangondla phela bantwana uyabafundzisa sengimele ngibeketelele ke ukuthi udangishaya ungende konke ngidawuphuma ngiyephi phela futhi encenye ke la khavele likhaya leli phakaphakeme angifuni nami ukukhipha umkhuhlane wasekhaya ngaphandle angifuni ihlazisa babe noma ngingibabe ngiyashaywa kakhulu angifuni ihlazisa umkami senihleti ke kulobo bhlungu lobo bayabona labantwana ukuthi kwendekalana nabo ke bayokuchubekela embili sekufika le generation yethu seyathi nje ukuthi tindvo kuze kuthi iconze kumele ukuthi kuhle kuba netindvo leti kanjalo.
Yeah, she is basically talking about the issue of economic dependence, Ivimbai, which is also a cause for the perpetration of gender-based violence. How do we end this? Because in as much as it is true that one of the partners in the family is the one bringing bread on the table, but it doesn't give them the right to abuse any of them in one way or the other. Economic dependency, she is attributing that to the major cause of gender-based violence. How can we deal with that? What do women need to do, and at what stage do we need to capacitate women to be self-sufficient economically?
Okay, for me, economic dependency starts from a girl when she's young, what she's taught when she's growing up. So you find many a times we teach our girls to aspire to marriages. We are not teaching our girls to be empowered to become who they want to be. So as they grow, they just think that what is important is marriage. There is no need to develop myself. So when they get into marriages, you find women are getting into marriages because they want to be supported, because they want to depend on the men. Yet yourself, you have not empowered yourself.
Yeah, I need to stop you right there. I need you to speak specifically to these young girls who are watching this show right now, who have the same aspiration you are mentioning.
Okay, what I can say is that as girls are growing up, they should know and understand that they carry the same rights as men. and they can become who they want to become no matter what. Nothing can stop a woman to become who she wants to become. So you do not have to look at who has to bring something for me. You have to grow up knowing very well that you have to work for yourself to become who you want to be, so that tomorrow you don't depend on anyone to bring you food, to bring you money for bread. You have to work. As both girls and boys are going to school, you should also aspire to become who you want to become.
Yeah, it may also sound like we are discouraging young girls to get married in the future.
Not at all. We are not discouraging young girls and young girls to be married at all. No, not at all.
What we are saying is that young girls should get into marriage with their own resources.
I'm not saying that at the same time. All I'm saying is you should develop yourself to become who you want to become, married or not married. You should aspire to become who you want to become, not only to aspire to be married.
Yeah.
Because after you get married, you still need to put food on your table.
Yeah.
It has to be like a 50-50 issue. When a man brings something on the table, you should also bring something on the table. Not to wait for the man to do everything for you.
And you cannot stay in a relationship simply because someone is supporting
Exactly.
you.
Yeah. So the mistake that is happening right now is we are getting into relationships because we are looking for material things. This is where the problem becomes.
Sixoxisene nathandi thandiwe emakhanya lapha ke emaphoyiseni ke wembubo emaphoyiseni loluleka ngetengqondo kunedeluleko lekanato letithinisana nato ke letindzaba tekubulawa ke kwabomake nebantu ke besifazane ukuthi kwentekani engqondweni yemuntu lokhanza ukuthi ke ugcina ke ende lokuganga lokhu noma kumbe lona longaba ke ivictim yekuganga ke lokufaka khathi ke kuhlukubeteka agcine kumbe abulewe.
But then again, the national team, I always say that is a mirror image of what the country has to offer. And you and I can agree that Brazil, when they lost their #1 spot as far as the FIFA rankings are concerned, they lost.
So tibonile phela uyambona umfakho ukuthi uyakwata, uyambona ukuthi umuntu lonemona, uyambona nalokuthi umuntu lothandako nekudiphinzisela. Ungadibambeleli. Phuma kusese kuhle, kuseselula. Usetokhona nokuthi impilo yakho uyimaintain. Nasemakhaya bamfla abadzala lesikucelako edihlotsheni ukuthi lalelani, bukani. Nangabe niyambona ukuthi uyahlukubeteka, mdonselene eceleni umphaneni nimkhulumise. Hayi ukuthi sithi siya destroya imendlo, kodwa sithi siyakha, sakha nempilo ukuthi sicela ukuthi ibe khona. Khulumani aphume umphana kusese kuhle kungaze kufike lapho sekunemonakalo khona lophinzekile.
Uthandiwe Makhanya angifuni ukuphinzelela kakushoko ngike ngayikhulumisa before singene emoyeni zanele lenzaba ukuthi siyayikhulumisa indaba ukuthi bukhona labolukhuni lamakhaya nakuma relationships ikakhulukazi futhi kulesinye isikhathi uyokhanza ukuthi nginaba labangathathane tikhona tikigaba tekubulawa nekabuse kwabomake kuma marriages but incumbi lesitibonako uyokhanza ukuthi dingane nje sebamthathele singane noma sebehlukene noma kumbe sekunjani but ukhuluma ngendlela important lebe solo singayisho kakhulu uthi umuntu akaphuma kusenesikhathi ku relationship.
Kuliqiniso kukhona nje ihlelo lesinalo la sesihambele khona la emakolishi na setikuna seyinala ememangweni sihlangana nebantu labasha lapho khona lo muntu lomusha kulehlelo lethu ke sifaka ekhathi bona bobhuti nabo bosisi lokuthi nawo ngibhuti unalo ilungelo ngoba bakhona bobhuti nabo labahlukumedwako kabhlungu futhi aze lo munye atibulale ahlukumedwe nje indvombi noma ngumfato wakhe. Sikubonile lokho nasemaphepheni. Sinabo ke nabo sister khanda ukuthi bahlukumedwa kanjalo. Labanye atithengise yena umtimba ngoba kunale tinvo la kade itsingako letetona. Kulehlolo lethu ke singena lamakolishi ngoba uyathi kuthi lo mnyomfana usuka ngiyabekisa leka zondondo encanye utala ekwaluseni nakafike kwaluseni ukhanza ukuthi impilo ishintshe kakhulu sengilapho ke sofuna kufanana nalomunye umuntu sobona ukuthi lele nginako akusasiko enough soqala ke lempilo le kanjalo lo muntu uzokhanda ukuthi uyahlukumedeka lehlelo lethu ke ngilapho khona sikhulumisana nabo labantu uthi unalo ilungelo lekwala nomtimba wakho noma ngabe ngilo boyfriend unaye sisi kwala nemtimba wakhe uthi cha lokhu ngicela ukuthi sikwende kanje kuze kuthi kutoba kanje. Nangabe futhi ubona lokho ukuthi kumbe wena uyehluleka naloko ukuthi ungalali, divikele phela dinentifo udinvo lebhlungu njengoko ukuthi ungene ecollege uphilile, so uphuma sonabo HIV, so uphuma unebantwana ngathi lababili labathathu, impilo wena so uqala below 0 kanti ungene enyuvesi ule etulu 100, so uphuma wena sonesifo, uphuma nebantwana bongabafuni banetibongo letehlukene, impilo yakho kuyibisele emuva. So uyathi lo muntu lotokuthanda John uvungaza ukuthi ukwendele umusa, utathi noma athi ngifuna kulala nalombana wakho loyintombatana ngoba wena uhluphekile uvume. Une ma cases nje lokhanza ukuthi lo make wenzile lo babulala nebantwana engcenye babo bobabili noma lo make wetane bantwana, ngaloko ukuthi ngifuna lo mendvo wami uvele nami ukuthi ngiphetheke kahle, ngithi akachubeke la kwakhuluma konje make lokho ukuthi tinto leti kanjalo khwesha phuma ngoba lokulinyalelwa kwalomntwana akasayophinze abe ngilutho udeke into lebhlungu njengekudlwengula. Kungako nje thina sinemkhankaso lothi it takes Eswatini to end sexual violence. Ukhanza ukuthi lomnye umntwana uhlukubedeke asemncane, lomnye njengala lomnye umango emkhiweni wazi lo mntwana waphuma esikolweni sekahlulekane kuhamba wachwala umntwana ngaloko ukuthi kukhona lebeka mdlwengula umflo omdzala lo mntwana muncane. So indzaba vele yetinto leti kanjena ibuhlungu ngamane uphume kunoko ukuthi ufelwe bantu babakho.
Yeah, your organization Women Unlimited Vimbai also conducts community-based counseling sessions, but I don't know if within those counseling sessions that you provide will reinforce the message of women getting out of toxic relationships while there is still time, considering the fact that eventually you do provide the counseling, but ultimately you find that they become a victim, you know, and then unfortunately some of these cases you find that there's fatalities, you know. Are we reinforcing these messages enough, and would we be wrong to tell women to get out of these toxic or dangerous or abusive relationships?
I don't think it would be wrong for us to tell women to get out of abusive relationships, because what is better, life and death? I think it's important that we keep the girls, we keep the women alive, than to leave them in abusive relationships where they are being strangled to death, where they are being abused day and night. So we keep reinforcing that. And we are also appealing to the community, the society itself, that when they see abuse, because the truth of the matter is the people in the community who know where abuse is happening. They know the perpetrators. But the problem is that our communities and our societies are quiet about it. They are not saying anything. And by so doing, we are actually planting more and more harm. We continue to raise a generation that okays abuse. A generation that says it's okay to be killed, to die in the hands of a perpetrator. And I think that should stop. It starts with me to share that information, to say, get out of that relationship. And it also starts with my neighbor. It should be a trend. Let's make noise about it. Let's not leave our children die in the hands of their perpetrators, all in the name of they have to remain married.
Yeah. Nguvimbaye Kapurua ukhulumisa ke indzaba ukuthi uqala wakushaya ngempama noma kumbe lo munye nje akukona lokuthi nje umuntu akutshele ukuthi manje ngitakushaya kufuna ukukuneketeke indication. There's a movie I watched not so long ago. This woman sees a boyfriend abusing a stranger who simply talked to the other woman, and they brutally and devastatingly harmed the other partner. And the woman was saying, I cannot have a boyfriend for this kind of a person who hits strangers like this, because bekabona lokuthi ngalelinye ilanga lo muntu lona info utawenda game ngithike kini maswatla mahle esikhathini lesinyende uyakuthi unezingane sihamba sifata inhlamba yonke lendlela uthi wena singane sakho lezo sishaya abantu ngemabhodlela uthi angeke akushaye lo muntu loyo lesikuvetako namuhla ukuthi kuyafuna ukuthi utibutisisele ukuthi ingabe angeke likhale kuyakho yini inhloko baye bathi mababhalisa lama statements emaphoyiseni bathi ugcina amlimata with a sharp object asathi ukuthi usuka sebenzise ini but normally they use something that is going to make you bleed profusely. We are just saying get out of a situation like that while there is still time. But can you trade your love simply because of an emotion, simply because of a feeling? But Tandiwe has something else to share with us.
Lenye indzaba le ngingathanda kuyiveta nginayindzaba yokuthi umuntu athatha impilo yalomunye emva kwekube akulungiselele lokho lesithi premeditated murder. Imvamisa yesikhathi lokubangela ukuthi umuntu agcine afike lapho ngilokuthi kuba netimo lapho khona akuhlukubeteke emoyeni ngandlela thide. Kungaba ukuthi uhlukubetwe ngilomuntu lamplanelako noma uhlukubetwe tihlobo takhe noma kwenteka bahishana nje esikhatsini lesithide. Kungaba nekuthi futhi labamfu laba bake bathandzana ngaphambilini noma solo bayathandzana kodwa kube nesimo lesenta ukuthi bese sebayakwatelana lona evengazuthi akatholi ijustice bese ijustice yakhe kuba ngilokuthi ufuna kugcina athethe impilo yaloyo lomuntu. Lapho singagcizelela nje kusho ukuthi lusito lukhona because lapha nasukucala nje kucabanga ukuthi ngifuna kutiphinziselela. Ikhona indlela yokuthi usitakale. Kwekucala kufuna ucole. Na ungakhona ukucola uwedvana. Hamba uye kulabo labatakweluleka. Bakhona labeluleka ngetengcondo. Labatawukhona ukuthi bahlale nawe phasi nisibuke lesimo lobhekene naso. Nisikhulumise ukhona kufika la uticolela khona uphindze ucolele naloyo lowakona. Ningaphindze futhi nihambe nemigamo lapho khona nitholane ukuthi nihlaliswe phasi nikhulunyiswe kube nekuthula emkhathisini wenu kugcine kube bede simo lapho khona kukhona lo lahlekelwa impilo utikhanze nawe wena lo wende lesendo so ulahlekelwa impilo yakho awusakhona ukukhula ubuke bampha bakho ubuke titukulwane takho undlondlobale empilweni kodwa utikhanze uphelela ejele kuyimfo longakayiplani empilweni yakho. Labanye baye bafika nokuthi anginenzaba noma ngingaphelele ejele. Liciniso ukuthi kude umuntu longafuni ukutibona aphumelele. Phumelela, uchubeke nempilo, ungaphila, uphilise nalabanye ngekuthi nje ukhona ukuthola loyo lotokusida ukuthi ucatulule inkinga lobhekene nato. Yonke inkinga inaso sisombululo. Konke kukwata ungakhona ukuthi ukucolele, uticolele, ichubeke impilo.
I think I will give this one to you, Avimbai. The issue of counseling. I think normally we refer someone to a counseling session when we realize that they are probably at the lowest point, you know. And I think within our society, it is something that is still not yet fully embraced within some parts of our communities, you know. But I think you do provide counseling at community based, you know. It would be nice to share your experiences at the therapeutic or the benefits of undergoing a counseling session, whether you are someone who is a potential perpetrator or victim, you know. Because sometimes you find that like she is referring to issues of premeditated murders, you know. You find that they've had a hiccup with the girlfriend. I mean, the gentleman has had a hiccup with the girlfriend, and they are premeditating to kill this particular person. When we are talking of seeking or getting help, we are not just talking to the victim, but also to the perpetrator, you know. What can they do, and how can counseling redeem the entire situation for both parties?
Okay. I think when we do counseling, we don't just start from the face of the situation. We go back to the root of the problem, where it emanated from, and we start from there, coming to where it is now. So I believe that counseling will actually kind of relieve the perpetrator or even the victim from the problem where they are coming from. So what we are dealing with here is the mental state of the person who thinks that something is wrong here. So what we are doing is we are going back to where they started from and kind of clearing what it is that has gotten them to where they are right now. And I believe that if something is not dealt with from where it started from, it continues to be a wound which is painful every time when it is touched.
Yeah, let's make an example, for instance. Yeah. You are saying we need to deal with the situation based on where it started from. What are some of those issues, especially within relationships?
Okay, for example, you find that maybe you have got a financial situation in the house, and maybe the man is not bringing money in the house, and because the woman is expecting money in the house and nothing is happening, there is tension that is rising now in the family. and the man, maybe he's not even getting the money, and because you're not communicating well with the woman, this one has got her own thinking that maybe you're taking money somewhere, and this one is thinking this one does not understand where I'm coming from. So I feel like most of the situations that a lot of people are experiencing emanate from the issue of communication. There is no communication between the partners in the relationship, and so each and every one of them is thinking otherwise. So it has to go back to where it started. Where did the problem start? Did it start from the issue of no proper communication? Did it start from the issue of you thinking that someone is misusing money or is not just bringing money? So there is need to just bring all that onto the table so that you understand where it started from and start dealing with it and nip it in the bud.
Yeah, and poverty is a major component that contributes to gender-based violence, and we have communities where we can basically highlight a few cases and situations of what's going on in those particular communities, and some of these women that have become vulnerable to issues of probably rape and murder, you find that they were going out to get some firewood, out to get some water. Do you have programs within your organization that try and mitigate? Because yes, we can talk, but I think we need to try and bring tangibility into some of the situations we see on a day-to-day basis, especially in rural communities where the vulnerability levels are very high. What are some of the programs at World Vision that try and mitigate situations like this?
Asibonge kakhulu ngathi inhlelo tethu dinyandi kakhulu ngoba siyasibuke lokho ukuthi lenkinga njengoba ashito ukuthi kuyabuka ukuthi inkinga nzini icale kuphi, yindele banga lenkinga ukuthi ize yanze landzaweni. Nangabe landzaweni incumbi yedinombolo tebantu labaseke badlwengulwa bathola bozidlanda ngendlela kubangwe ukuthi emandi akhashane kakhulu. Kona lamantu labayowathola kumbe ahlobile ke bakhashane kakhulu. Kungilapho ke inhlangano kumele ukuthi ibuye ihlale nesive kubukwe indlela yokuthi emanti asonzela kanjani emakhaya. Ngiko nje sebenzisana kakhulu nelitiko la natural resources lapho khona sifuna nabo rural water kuze ukuthi kubeke ngathi ngabe lonke elikhaya linembombi ekhaya khona umntwana tophepha make aphephe nababe aphephe kanjalo. Nekuthi ke lokunye ukhanza ukuthi indzaba yokudla siyathi ukuthi emaswati athi indlala idlisana emanyala nase ulambile uyothanza sokudla into longakameli uyidla so uvuma nento lebengeke uyivume kube bosuthi. Sibuka ke lokho ukuthi njengoba ngishite ekucaleni ukuthi wonke umuntu akube nemkhiqito la kwendako. Nangabe ungadinikile sizathu ukuthi mina angafunzi ngagcina ka standard 5 kepha uphilile unetandla unetinyawo unemehlo unengcondo lephelele. Siyesibeseke lapho kunehlelo nje lethu lesithi ma savings groups lapho khona sithi hlanganani phela ninanithembana kulendzawo yangakini nihlangane nicale kancane ngoba kulukhuni kumanage group lenkulu ningacala ngabo 10 niyahlangana naqala inyanga kuyangani ukuthi nihlangana kanjani ngoba ufike World Vision and train ukuthi I savings group yentwa kanje niba nemthetho osekelo wenu niyabhalisa emphakathi ngoba tindzaba tetemali letinye leti bangatilonza so ubolekile imali yethu awusafuni kusibhadala kepha nangabe la phansi kule mthetho osekelo wethu sasho ukuthi mase owa imali engaka ongabhadali siyabe sesithatha noma sesithola kanjani kuwe ngeke usimangalele umphakathi uyati wafaka stamp ukuthi ngiyavuma lo mthetho osekelo wenu qhubekani niyosebenza. Asantrainer ke World Vision ukuthi nendele mikhiqito sifuna nokuthi usaboleka le mali lapha ku savings group yakho phela awuthi la khaya
uthi bawacala nga10 emalangeni
kuyangeke ukuthi egroupini nilungelwa ngimalini ukhona la bede lutho yena uyacabanga ukuthi ude lutho uzombekisela umuntu ukuthi njengoba unamahlalo ekhukhwini une airtime bongede lo airtime lotayifaka kusasa ubekele lishumi kuthi kuphela inyanga utabe unayo noma 30 emalangeni noma lo 10 emalangeni umthathe uyofaka enhlanganweni nasufakile ke enhlanganweni seniyayihlanganisa le mali seniyaboleka kulokuboleka kwenu la nhlanganweni ibese seyayithatha wena le mali uyahamba uyocupha lo lokucuphako uyakhicita ubuya ucala usibekela le interest ngoba le mali yethu lesikubolekako inendalo phela thide ngoba le mali kumele nakuphela umnyaka sibe sakhe imali lebonakalako futhi kulesikhwama leso uyawubeka loyo 10 emalangeni wakho lo mongakho udokhanza ukuthi enxenye kunelishumi noma kunampondo lesembeke eceleni kuze ukuthi banibana la ndzaweni labeswele bangaze bathole kunedidlamlilo lesikhuluma ngathi sikhona lo group of 10 ukuthi si identify a needy child sim assist nakathena mina bomake nabo babe ngithenga nje uniform yesikolo kumbe bluko lamseli nemathoshi ngidede icathulo angaze athole ngumakelo nemali umntwana ngomfana athi ngidakuthengela
niwendele bani laba groups la njengalawa za yindlela concept ngeva ngazuthi kumbe nase tindzaweni letinengi cishe lonke lelive is this just one community noma kumbe ive lonke
ngingathi konke la sikhona khona sinhlangana kwa World Vision sineke sisetinkundleni letingamashumi amabili lo shothi 20 constituencies akhona lama savings groups ngingabekisa nje kuthi eminyakeni lophelile nasubala imali labatongile bonke labantu labo iyandlula kubo 1.3 million naso ubala imali abayakhile bese lo mkhiqido wakho ungijoin nemkhiqido wami ungizanele nemkhiqido wabani le ngumende on the side mase nihlanganisa senibala letimali leto indlulile bo 5.1 million le mali le lokusho ukuthi sibhilivela lokho ukuthi angeke uthi ude awukhona kwakha imali ngoba wena uhluphekile akuthi kulokuhlupheka kwakho kube bede kube khona lokukhiqida
ube ingcenye ukuthi wende indlela awukhona ukuphilisa lokhu sikhuluma lethi indzaba amaswati lamahle kuyaselapha lokuthi sikhulume nabantu labaluleka ngengcondo labatibonako letinto ukuthi labantu bafika njani kulesigaba sekuthi bagcine bende lo mkhuhlane lo lesihloko lesikhuluma sabo sithi ungambulali itholakele usido kucoca nathenjiwe noma ke nathandiwe kuyasisita njengoba kumbe one of the things she has already mentioned ukuthi ema communities akabe involved tihlobo atibe involved mangabe umuntu kumbe atisola lokuthi yathi ngagcina ngembulele ezibani sikhulumise nami nje ngangishayela la emsakadweni ephirezwe yathi nginenkinga la lo muntu kwenta kanje ngidase ngiyakubonisa mina siyamnakethu awufugibela ibhasi ufike la ndokuchuba nkumekise kuphi bakuhlalise phansi bakukhulumise. I think Thandiwe has one more thing and a very last thing to share with us on the program today.
Sibuye endzabeni yetinsita ukuthi sikunqoba kanjani konke lokho lolidlame lolungaka silinqoba kanjani lokumcoka kakhulu kufuna sibiyele kulomuntu sibuke yena nje as an individual simbuke from etinhlangothini letehlukahlukene lengite ligama lawo ngeSwati kodwa sikubita nge-intersystematic integration of the person lapho khona simbuka aphelele simbuka ukuthi lo muntu emfaneni uyatala ungubani ukhuliswa ngubani ukhula njani kwendekani lekhaya akhule ahamba esikolweni kwendekani lesikolweni ukhona yini lo nenzaba naye lo mlalelako lobukako nalokuthi kwendekani empilweni yakhe leni simbuke kusuka emfaneni ke lo muntu ukuthi tonke letimfo leti titaba nemthelela ekukhuleni kwakhe nangabe ekhaya bampa bethu sibakhulisa basibona siyalo sibatali nabo batokwati ukuthi lithamvukulo nangabe ekhaya kuthetha batokhula bathi ukuthi umuntu uyathethiswa nangabe inhlamba ilanguage yasekhaya noma ulwimi lwalebaleni nalomphana ukhula athi lelo lwimi lelo so kungaba kucela esiveni ukuthi wonke umuntu akasukume abuke ukuthi angendani sithi simkhulisa umphana simkhulise ngendlela lefanele ngoba le ndlela lakhule ngayo ngilendlela la tatiphatha ngayo nasebudzaleni nasibona ukuthi umphana akakhuliseki kahle asimtholele lisito kungakafiki lapho kwentakala khona umonakalo ngoba uyakhona kumbona umphana lo taba sengubungotini bekuthi angenda budlova ekukhuleni kwakhe imvamisa uba ngumphana lothandza kulwa kakhulu abe ngumphana lonemona angafuni ukudlala nalabanye bamphana afune nekuphuca labanye ukhanze ukuthi nelwimi lakhe lingileli dlaphatisako lelinesimvo akakhulumisi kwemphana ukhulumisa kwemfulo omdzala lapho kufuna bese siyamsonzelela umphana siyamhlalisa phasi siyamfundzisa kuze nelikusasa lakhe litawuchakaza ngoba labampha bethu ngibo likusasa lethu labatawukhulisa lelive basimise nemnotho.
We don't have much time left, Vimbai, but I need you to help me talk to this one last issue. The danger of being in a transactional relationship, and what is a transactional relationship?
A transactional relationship is whereby, for example, a mother or a parent is giving away their daughter in exchange for money. We have an example of such a case in the office whereby a mother gave away her 2 children in exchange for money. So this actually boils down to the issue of economic dependency we were talking about. And because women want to depend on somebody for survival, they end up doing anything at the detriment of their own children.
And themselves.
And themselves as well.
That is a transactional relationship.
That's a transactional relationship.
And I think it's normally hard to get off a transactional relationship because of the benefits you've been getting.
As long as you are not empowered to develop yourself, you can hardly get out of such a transactional relationship.
Yeah.
So there is need for women to be empowered.
Yeah. So, but I think, like we have already mentioned, some of the women that are in transactional relationship, they are just potential casualties or fatalities in waiting. What can we say to them? They know they entered into this relationship as a transactional relationship and they do want to get out. What can they do?
I think there is need for them to stand up and stand for themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's an issue of a mindset that needs to be changed, because as long as you have that same mindset that if I want to get something, I have to get it from someone, then you can never get out of such a situation. But if you instill in yourself as a mindset of saying, I can do anything, you can even start by selling tomatoes by your gate.
Yes.
It doesn't need a lot of money for you to start something in your life. It takes intentionality. You have to intend to do something to get somewhere.
Yeah. And you have a slogan that says, or a campaign that says, it takes Eswatini to end sexual violence. Mm-hmm. Can you reiterate that statement, Zanele? In conclusion.
Sesivala nje malangeni kuliqiniso vele ukuthi ekuhambeni kwethu sikhanzile lokho ukuthi sive semaswati kunengi lokuhlukumetana kunengi kakhulu kungako sasesicela lo mkhankaso siyalibonga nje ne-office la ka Deputy Prime Minister lelisite kakhulu ngoba sikhonile nekuhamba singena la kuma bus rank sangena kubo marshal sangena kulabashayelako sangena kubaholeli sangena nakubo bandla ncane sangena nje emimangweni uyikhulumisa lenzaba ngoba dinengi letinto letinye tendeka la madolobheni emarengini letinye tendeka le emakhaya sithi ke akube bedolobinzako kakhulu nje lesikhala ngako ungabinzi bika na ukubona nje noma ngabe ngiyasola ukuthi lo mfana bekasolo ajabulile angisamboni kahle emkhulumise nangabe ubona ukuthi sekune element ye abuse sithi bika nangabe kumbe umfana lo sesikolweni ikhona inombolo yelitiko letemfundo lapho khona sithi shaya phela kuye 9664 ubika indzaba yakho ukuthi yathi thishela bani soqale kumbe kusibamba tibu noma sibambe mabele na ubafana unibamba tibu tinfo leti kanjalo sithi bika noma ke ushaya inombolo yawo maphoyisa yena lo 999 noma labo 9 labani kuze ukuthi ungaze ufike engotini tsite nabo swaga ke khona inombolo bo 951 noma uSMS 8500 usho nje ukuthi ezibanibanyana lendlela la sangenda ngayo ngoba sikhanze ukuthi John kunebantwana laba bagrumako lo mfana usemncane but ngimgrumela ukuthi nasafika kumbe satocala kuthomba so ujwayele ukuthi ngihle ngembamba letibunu ngembamba lamabele lo mfana somele nje ukuthi mzukana noma umbamba wena akasaboni ukuthi ku wrong wena wamgruma kusukela amncane uhlumshashaya nje emshana hayi mshana omuhle mshana mshana mzukana
wami wena
wena mshana ukhulela malume uyakubona umshana lengcono wegcine iyathi ukuthi mina ngingumshana wamalume so malume mzukana awisipendi umfana ngicabanga ukuthi kufanele kanti sekungcola ke kuchubekela kuya Embili.
Vimbai, thank you so much, my sister, for coming through, and I do hope that as we continue with the campaign, we probably are going to find another opportunity to deliberate on these issues. Zanele zatsewethu ngibongele kakhulu kuba nathi ehlelweni.
Sibongile kakhulu.
Bacebeni Nkosi yami ngiyacela nibacebe kakhulu waboshwa lo mnyathishela atshela umfana ukuthi unemabele lanonile banengi labo thishela labangconile lathi kolweni benda lokuganga lokhu njengoba sakabekile Zanele la labanye bathi angadothi ngidawubika kuphi, and I think one of the most efficient numbers 999 or 999 bona laba iphone leletile kati bekile Zanele kunana yami ke nombolo levela la ku screen 760373 0776037307. You can trust me. Bacebe nala kimi mina ngidanixhumanisa nemaphoyisa nema stakeholders latanisita. Some of them are sitting because they don't know where to go after they walk out of those houses. Ngidawuphuma bese ngiyaphi ePires. Asongishayile sitoyikhulumisa lenzaba leni. Sitawumane sibone kunekuthi ufe nabakithi ngiyesaba lokuthi ngidawubuya la ngikhulume nawe ube statistics kusasa. Thatha nayo inombolo yami ungishayele uthi Mr Pires, what can I do? I have been abused and I am in danger of dying. Ungambulali thola luside nanawe wona lo hlose bulala lomunye siyacela Nkosi yami manje umyekele thola abafundisi thola counseling. You can also call me and I can gladly advise you which channels to take. Maswahla mahle sibongele kuba nathi ke ehlelweni Embili Kanye Kanye nomuhla Jehova sigcine sibonana ngalokudaka usiphilile nisale kahle.